What are some things we need to consider when thinking about students with intensive behavioral needs at the secondary level?
Another significant area of difference between elementary and secondary implementation of DBI and intensive interventions is the behavioral or engagement aspects are inherently intertwined with academics. So, many of these students have experienced school failure for multiple years by the time we get them in secondary. And in addition, so because of that, they've really mastered some avoidance techniques, they're really disengaged, and in addition to that, now they're moving into adolescence. So this is already a turbulent time for them, and other people's opinions of them, their peers, is very important. So, they're going to start acting out and skipping school and things of that nature. A lot of times in middle schools and high schools, people will tell me that they need all the same kids. The kids who need reading also need math, also need social emotional supports, and wraparound is going to be an issue. So when you have those kids, how are you going to serve them in a way that sort of gives them many layers of support all at once? So some solutions when I'm thinking about what advice to give to people is, number one, general education teachers, they're content area trained, and often they don't know a lot about social emotional learning. So be prepared to support on that end. When the students go back to their gen ed classes, teachers will need support. The second one is to make sure in these interventions, well, first of all, make sure interventions have time, a separate period, a block during the day. If you can't structure it into the schedule, it will not happen, and you know that, I'm sure. The next piece is to make sure the behavioral and social emotional pieces are inherently intertwined in all interventions. So for example, when I was doing a math intervention that was the intensive level, first training I gave them was, as a teacher, you're a coach, a check and connect model, making sure they were doing all the PBIS best practices in that situation. So even though they're doing math, they're also doing positive behavioral supports, motivation, and social emotional. And the final piece would be to make sure you're thinking about planning ahead. What am I going to do for those students that really need wraparound? Are there organizations in my community that I can partner with?